Grab a swing, cop a squat in the sandbox. Dr. Denicia Hilton invites you on a journey where serious healing doesn't have to be serious. As a doctor of Oriental medicine and holistic play activator, Denicia creates playful healing spaces for women to embrace, embody, and express her perfectly authentic self. Perfectionists unite in the perfect alignment, playgroup mentorship, or as a member of the Recreation Center at the Perfect Playground. In these experiences and others, Denicia holds the space where you begin to see connections in your life that offer insight for you to evolve. You realize there's nothing to fix or recover from. You're perfect just as you are. You just need to learn how to reframe the relationship with yourself so you can interpret the messages from your symptoms and identify the tools that are already within you to confidently navigate your personal healing journey with clarity, compassion, and consciousness. Got your permission slip signed? Denicia is about to take you on a playful adventure, one where you experience her healing journey in ways you hadn't before. Being your perfect, authentic self, aligning in spirit, mind, and body. I present to you Dr. Denicia Hilton. I am your relationship coach, and my passion is helping others reach their God-given potential. As we've been talking all week, you know that I am on a campaign to help as many people as I can to heal from unaddressed traumas. And so that is what our focus is today. So let us just jump right in and speak with Dr. Hilton. Tell us about who you are and what it is that you do.
Hi. Oh my gosh, Policia, this is great. Like, I feel the energy. I'm like, yes, let's do this. So, first, I really appreciate you for having me on board and
Yes.
allowing me to bring this to other people so that they're more aware of, like just different ways that it is that you can actually go through that healing journey.
Yes.
And to do so where you really see that serious healing doesn't have to be so serious.
Yes.
Completely my platform.
Okay.
And so while I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, I'm also a holistic play activator. Okay. And it's where it is that I focus mostly with women and actually helping to guide women to really embrace, embody, and express their perfect, authentic self.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yes, like how is it that I create these playful healing spaces for them? And it's play in the sense of experiencing, you doing activity, you're learning through that way, but it's also play where it's an acronym. It stands for play, it stands for actually the potential in learning about yourself.
Okay.
And so through that process, she just learns all of these different things that's actually happening. Like, how is it that these symptoms of stress, how is it that these conditions of autoimmune or whatever it might be, the traumatic experiences that you might have experienced, like, how is it that you can learn from those so that it is that you can see how there are opportunities for your authentic self, perfect authentic self. Yes. Okay. I do say that you are perfect.
Yes.
Okay. I don't buy into the I'm not perfect. Actually, you are perfect. And it's perfect in the sense of the root word that you are whole and complete.
Yes. I love that. I love that. So, one of the things that stood out to me is being able to be your true, authentic self. And sometimes as women, we get lost in what that actually means to really be and show up as your true, authentic selves, because, the responsibilities and the roles that we actually play, and I use play loosely, meaning how we show up at work, how we show up in our relationships, sometimes is not getting to, like you said, the root cause of just being who you need to be without giving a flip. Right? That to me is like true authentic, being unapologetic is what I mean when I say that. Not like you're not caring about people's feelings and stuff, but sometimes you need to be able to, like you said, be able to say what you need to say and release certain things without being worried about that. Is it going to be right? Am I saying this right? And so what a question that I want to ask you is, as you have worked with, I'm sure, some wonderful women and you've talked about, incorporating your play. How do you feel, or do you feel that stress is linked to anxiety?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And stress, so to me, stress has various ways that it shows up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so anxiety is one way that
Yeah.
you can see that, oh, I'm experiencing some type of stress right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so, what is that stressor? Like, to kind of understand that the way that you end up processing it is pretty much going to be the same, right?
Yes.
Despite the stressor. And so the stressor can be a mental one, it can be an emotional one, it could
Yes.
be a physical one, but the
Yes.
body response is going to be the same. Now, I say the same, but then here's the caveat is that the chronicity, aka how long it is that you would experience any form of stress,
Mm-hmm.
the body, like I said, that's its natural response, right? But then, even then, it seems like, well, I haven't been stressed, but what it is it's been on a spectrum. So it's
Yes.
kind of like, oh, this was fresh stress. So then we're going to have this type of response. But then if
Mm-hmm.
it stays, or
Mm-hmm.
different forms of stress kind of compounds it, and then now the body's responding, it's actually responding in a way that it's doing as best as it can as its fuel is running out. And
Yeah.
so then, so then that's where you hear, like, it may have started out as anxiety, but
Yeah.
then it would have went into digestive disorders, it
Mm-hmm.
would have went into menstrual cycle issues,
Mm-hmm.
it would have,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So but it's all coming back into the one thing, which was experiencing stress. And sometimes the mind is not quite like up to it, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
we'll play tricks for our own survival in that moment. And
Yeah.
so, like, something that you pointed out as far as the roles that we play and the value in really trying to be and express your authentic self is because in those roles you assume an identity.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I say you assume an identity, you would have brought that on. Well, then
Yeah.
now you would have said, well, in this identity, I'm supposed to, and then where that's supposed to, whatever you put in and fill in the blank, now you start to go and explore, well, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And so then now you realize, like, I went through all of this. I had this role, assumed this identity
Mm-hmm.
based on this
Yes.
cultural, whether the culture was family, friends, work, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of got muddled in that and then assumed it as if it was you. But
Yeah.
imagine if it's like, authentically, if it's me, and you have to shed some layers. It's
Yes.
a process.
Yes.
That's why I say it's healing, because it's a process
Yeah.
and it's not a destination. So, like,
Yeah.
it's just having that compassion, right? But like, if you see that's happening, use the anxiety as literally a flag.
Mm-hmm.
Use it as a flag that you're
Mm-hmm.
experiencing something, some form of stress
Yeah.
that's causing you to get your defenses up.
I
So,
love that. I love how you have painted this picture. And sometimes when you talk about being on a spectrum, that anxiety where we are walking around as if it's normal, right? Because you said it starts off on one thing, and so in your mind it's telling you, oh well, this is fresh stress, and so you don't address it. You don't check into this internal trigger that's telling you, no, I need to address, like, why do I keep getting upset every time I go around this person, or when I'm interacting with this specific environment. And it's almost like you don't recognize what's actually happening because you're not addressing those things. You're walking around like this is how it's supposed to be. I'm a busy mom, I'm a busy wife, I do all of these different things, and not really learning how to shed those layers that you talked about.
yes,
Yeah.
and you touched on something where you said where it feels like it's normal. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that many people don't understand the meaning of normal either,
Mm-hmm.
because normal, it's funny because I came to this epiphany working with menstrual health, because menstrual health and fertility health were my specialization. And
Okay.
so a lot of like what goes out is, well, that's normal to feel pain during your period, or that's normal that you have spotting, like, right? But and then that's when I realized, like, oh, it's only normal because you see it so often.
Uh-huh.
but it doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Yes. Yes. I love that. So, if you had to break it down, because, you've talked about how we sort of conceptualize what normal is, right?
Hmm.
You're doing it, so, and it's almost like because that's what you might have been told, or maybe you don't have the time that you think it's going to take to address that issue. Maybe it's fear. We don't know. There's a lot of different reasons why people put this normal thing in their head. What are
Yeah.
some of the roadblocks that you see for people that you've worked with, women, men, those that you've come in contact with, like your professional colleagues? What are some roadblocks that you've seen that keeps them from shedding those layers and living life to its fullest?
Oh, there's so many. So I'm trying to think like what would be the big ones, because there's so many and they're all so connected to each other. So I'm like trying to think which few would be like, ugh. One would be, I want to say that it's fear, in the sense of fear of the change that what they are accustomed to,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what they're accustomed to, there's a fear of what would happen. There might be like a fear of loss.
Yeah.
So a fear of losing, say, if I do express myself authentically and address something at work, there's a fear
Yeah.
that I might lose my job.
That's it.
Or like there's a fear of losing relationships. There's a
Mm-hmm.
fear of losing money. There's a fear of my child might hate me. There's a
Yes.
fear of like, right? So there's that is a huge roadblock for people, because then if you start to ask like, well, what is it that I would really like to experience? And then it'll come instantly.
Yeah.
And something I learned from my fiance, he tells me this all the time. He's like, you might say I don't know, because that's the gut, right? Like you just say I
Right.
don't know, but really
Your
he's like,
go-to.
no,
Mm-hmm.
you do know. It's just that you're not quite. I expanded on this. It's just that at that point you actually know. It's just that whether or not what it is that you choose that you would like to experience will either be accepted or
Come
if
on.
it will be possible.
Come on. Yeah.
And so as soon as you see that, like if you start to quickly say, well, I don't know, then stop. Like just
Mm-hmm.
pause, because you do it. And what it is it's just the fear that's right there that's blocking and saying, well, that may not be possible.
Yeah.
And so then the other roadblock is seeing in the form of possibilities. It's also seeing how you can actually tap into what you have not seen already,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
because then you would have actually seen it from the past, because
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, well, in the past this happened. And that even goes like, with your relationship with other people,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I have to catch myself too, right? Where I'm like, well, I didn't ask you this time because last time you said blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
And that then brings you to another roadblock of not being in the present.
Yes.
And so then if you're in the present, then you can really charge yourself with letting go of what happened in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then not to project in the future. That's where
Yes.
anxiety actually comes from.
Yes.
Anxiety lives in the future,
That's right.
or what you
That's right.
think is actually going to happen in the future, but realize that what you're thinking is going to happen in the future is based on the fear that you have from the
Mm.
past.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do you feel like are some signs of stress overload? You talked a lot in the beginning about how, our mind, our body, and our spirit, how all of those are interconnected, right? And so if you're not used to recognizing those roadblocks that you talked about, how would I know if that I'm fearful? How do I know I'm being defensive every time somebody says, do you realize that? What would you say to that?
Oh, okay. So one of them is actually when you want to go and play Real Housewives.
Uh-huh.
If all of a sudden, I'm so serious. If you're going out and you're literally like, I don't know why she doing that. Oh, they should be ashamed of themselves that they did
Mm-hmm.
da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
Or you, why is she wearing that? Oh,
Yeah.
that's not professional. Oh, why
Yeah.
can't you do that? I'm going to tell you, every single time it is that you're pointing something out in someone else, it's a reflection of yourself.
That's right.
And not
Absolutely.
only is it a reflection of yourself, the thing that you can do to take that, to put that on steroids, is you're going to now go into defense mode. No, it's not. And actually, and now we explore, why do you think that it's not?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you start to see, well, because I was raised that this, well, I was taught in college that, or I was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so then you were basically taught to actually not embrace that part of yourself.
Yes.
And not only that, then what you actually wanted in expressing your authentic self, which is what we were going back in the beginning of our conversation, right? What it is it's the fear of being accepted in that authentic self showing.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're seeing as what is irritating, like, why are they doing da 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 da? I think what it is it actually triggers that somebody's being in their authentic self and you're not doing it, and you're actually frustrated.
Yes. Oh,
And
that is so good. That is so good, because it's almost like, as people elevate and they have these epiphanies and they awaken to their true authentic selves, and you start to notice some things as you become more self-aware of other people. And like you just pointed out, it's like now the light is shining on them. Okay, I'm growing. I'm embracing that, but this other person is not. And so how do we continue on in this relationship where I'm being my most authentic self, but people are looking at me like, she ought to be ashamed of herself, like what you said.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so then that's where I feel like this is where compassion comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So one of the things I was thinking about this before we even jumped on today, actually, just due to everything coming up, and it's, how can you offer, I know people talk about compassion, but the thing is that you can't, I don't see yet how you can offer compassion for someone else when you don't have compassion for yourself.
Yes.
And so with that being said, that's where, like, like ultimately what I was saying was, what you're seeing also, like, people will go and just go on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, in that it turns into negative self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
So where it is that it's like they should be ashamed of themselves, once you come to that realization, all of a sudden it now turns inward.
Mm-hmm.
And in the journey going inward, it's like, I see where the women would go into that, well, now I just feel horrible that such and such, or I'm so ashamed that I did such and such.
Yeah.
And so this is where you create that pause. It's in, because that comes actually out of a judgment.
Yes.
And so it's actually just bringing things to an awareness, and to a level of awareness that is even depersonalizing it.
Yeah.
It's actually seeing that it's the message, it's the symbology of that experience. I don't know if you caught that when I'm speaking, I actually say it in a way that it's referred outside of the person, because it goes back to what I was saying in role and identity. When people assume that, then once it grows and attaches to you, people have a hard time letting it go. When it's time to be released. So therefore, what if you depersonalized it? Depersonalize the behavior that you're seeing in someone else. Learn from that experience with that person. See what that is about yourself that's inviting you to grow. And at the same time, you have that compassion for yourself, in that, wow, I just learned this. This just twisted up everything for me, right?
Everything that you believe,
Yeah. And then here's another level of the compassion is, while you have that compassion for yourself, also understand it took you a little bit to get there. So it very well may take others a little bit to get there.
That's right.
And they may not get there at the speed of your journey, because it's your personal healing journey.
Yeah.
And so the dynamics definitely may change. Now, you also may have historically experienced other people saying and watching them go, they should be ashamed, you should be ashamed.
Yeah.
However, now you're in a different space. So that very well may not happen again, because it's that remembering, not you're being present and trying to bring that past into the present, right? So like, it's right then and there, once you can offer that, and some people very well may fall off. And if they do, that's fine. It's like just out of loving compassion and blessing them along in their personal journey.
That's right.
if you accept that this is your personal journey, competition lays away.
Yes. Yes.
The need, um,
For self-approval.
yes. And
Yeah.
like, and another thing that is huge that I see come up is in that personal journey that is yours, it's for you to get.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily for someone else to get.
Mm-hmm.
And another major transition that I see is this, all of a sudden they try to hold on now
Yeah.
because of fear of loneliness,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's so personal.
Mm-hmm.
It's so personal
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
gotta understand that literally what you might see on the outside very well may fall away and change at the drop of a dime. But you,
Yeah. Your whole existence.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, while navigating, this is your own personal journey that you're
Yes.
navigating alone, you are
Mm-hmm.
not lonely.
Yes. I love that. Yes, yes, yes. I'm look here. Mic drop, high five through the phone. I say the phone through the Zoom. I love how you say that, Dr. Hilton, because I think sometimes we get so used to, we feel empowered to hold on to those things that we need to be shedding away, to those painful things. But what you've just explained to us is that there's a whole nother world. Once you decide, okay, these things behind me don't suit me, I need to focus on what's right now in front of me, right now in the present moment, not thinking so much about the future and the possibility based on your fear that it's not going to work, but actually taking time and giving yourself permission to let some of those things go. So I absolutely love your analogies and how you describe everything. So my final question is, based upon the Breakthrough 2.0 that we've talked about, do you feel like this program would be beneficial to those people looking to eliminate the roadblocks that they're actually experiencing at this time?
I definitely think so. And
Yeah.
if you could see them even then, like the roadblock may be there, right? But actually I kind of see that they're only like, they're there, but they're movable. They're
Yeah.
movable, or you can go over them. Like, they're navigatable. Is that a word?
Yes.
Like, navigable, I think is a word.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're navigable because, like, yeah, if you're just driving along, a tree might fall. Okay, so either the tree is gonna get chopped up and then the pieces removed, or I'm gonna like go over the tree, or I'm going to make a U-turn and then kind of like find a different way.
Yes.
Or like, even if it's those orange and white stanchion thingies, it's like those are there.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's kind of like, are these roadblocks, are they roadblocks, or are they invitations for you to get creative?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you thought it was going to be just go straight this
Just
way
one
down
way. Mm-hmm.
I-295, and
Uh-huh.
then and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden something saying, but I think there's something that's potentially bigger for you and better
Yes.
if you just take this junction over here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that is like, if you can just take those and then understand and see like what you might deem as these roadblocks and how they can be these gifts for you to just
Yes.
grow
Yes.
and really come into who you are and your true being and serving in your
Yes.
purpose, all for it. 2.0
Yes.
to infinity. Like, it's like,
Yes, yes, I love that, and I think that this was no accident that our roads crossed because of the healing work that you do, and talking about this time that's so relevant, where people actually need breakthroughs, they need healing, and they need creative ways in which to learn about that, right? So I absolutely appreciate your time today. I thank you, and I wanted to ask you, if we want to get in contact with you, how do we go about doing that?
yeah, I would love to hear from you. Even if it's just, oh my gosh, I learned this. This is great.
Yes.
And so I'm primarily like doing things through my website, which is at denisiahilton.com. And then also I am on Facebook, and it's also at Denicia Hilton. That's my page there, and LinkedIn. So Facebook, LinkedIn, and my website, those And LinkedIn is also Denicia Hilton. Hey.
Yeah, so you can't miss.
Yeah. So
Yes.
those three are my main platforms, for sure. And I would love to just literally hear about anything that you might have learned, how it is that you're like, whoa, I can totally play with this, and
Yes.
add some levity to it. Don't be hard on yourself, because really the serious healing doesn't have to be so serious.
Yes, I love your tagline. Serious healing does not have to be so serious. It is about a process and the journey, and we are going to continue to break through. I hope that this has been valuable to you, and I want you to do this for me. If you have found value in our conversation today with Dr. Hilton, I want you to put a 5 in the comments and tell us what has been valuable for you and how you feel like you will be able to change from just this simple message. You can schedule your breakthrough call today as we're talking. You can reach out to Dr. Hilton. Again, my name is Paulicia Aguilard. I am your relationship coach, and I'm helping you transform from